Hey everyone, it is the Thrive with Cate podcast, and many of you have heard of Udo's oils, or you've bought Udo's oils, and we're here with Udo Erasmus, the one who really, I would say, like brought out the whole good, like what are good oils? I know you were part of my education when Udo's oils hit the
Yeah,
market.
after I was part of your education, after I was part of my education, because I got poisoned by pesticides and the doctors couldn't do anything for me. That's a long story. My marriage broke up and I wanted to kill something, so I took a job as a pesticide sprayer. And I was really careless and I got poisoned. Went to the doctor, said, "What do you have for pesticide poisoning?" And she said, "Nothing." And at that point, I got super interested in health. And health through nutrition, I knew.
I've worked with people with pesticide poisoning. It is so hard. It's so neurologically challenging,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
painful.
Yeah. The only reason they make pesticides is to kill creatures, and they kill them in two ways. They poison the nervous system or they poison energy production.
Which is why people with pesticide poisoning have no energy, severe brain fog, and massive neurological
Yeah,
dysfunction, which
and
is
more than
not fun to. Yeah.
and more than 60% of the pesticide that we spray that we don't have any fix for are carcinogenic.
Oh, it's a fun world we live in. So,
Yeah.
back to the
Yeah.
bright side. What happened next? So you go on your own path, right? The doctor
Also,
can't
I,
help.
I, I studied biology because I came out of the Second World War. I was 2 years old when the war ended. So I was a war baby. Then we were refugees. Then I got to be an orphan because my mother had to leave 4 kids behind because she got off the roads. Because on the roads we were chased by the tanks and trucks of the commies, and the allies, like the good guys, we like to think of us as the good guys. The allies were using us refugees on dirt roads in horse-drawn hay wagons, mothers with young children, as target practice, and shooting at us from planes. So my mother got off the road. It was winter, so she went through the snow-covered field, but she had 6 kids with her, and she couldn't handle 6 kids, so she left 4 of us behind. And then I ended up in an orphanage in Berlin, and then eventually her sister found out what happened and came and found us and reunited us with the family. And
Wow.
so my childhood was a little bit rough. And then we were in Germany after the war, and I listened to adults argue really intensely, like they got so intense about things that to me as a 6-year-old seemed really stupid, like trivial. Must have been really trivial stuff. I don't remember what it was about, but it
Yeah.
always made me feel really uneasy. And by listening to one of these arguments again, and this thought came to me, there must be a way that people can live in harmony. And this little cocky voice, and I'm going to find out how. 6 years old, not knowing how complicated everything is, right? And that's been basically my driver. I got into science because I wanted to know how things work, because that gives you a certain, I was pretty insecure as a kid because, we lost everything. I didn't know what I could trust. I never felt safe, right? And when you know how things work, you kind of get to predict and control.
Yeah.
So science is about that. And so I was born scientist. I was always trying to figure stuff out by experimentation. Broke a lot of stuff when I was a kid, trying to
Take
figure
it
stuff out.
apart. Yeah.
And then I got into science like math, physics, chemistry, which was really boring because it was really theoretical because the professors never told us any applications. They just made us memorize formulas and stuff.
Yeah.
And I they didn't then switched into biological sciences because biology means study of life, and you look around on this planet and they say there's life on this planet, that's the big treasure here, and I want to know everything I can about it. Now I wasn't looking for a job, I just wanted to appreciate life more. And then I found out in biology you don't study life, you only study form and function. And I thought when I went in we would at some point have a beaker that would be half filled with something liquid and shining. We'd all stand around it with our eyes aglow and say, "Wow, there's life." But we never got the beaker. And then I said to one of my lab partners, I said, we should really study ourselves because in us we have form, function, and life together. We don't have to kill ourselves to get to know ourselves.
Yeah.
And his eyes glassed over. He totally didn't get it. But that's been like my quest. I always wanted to know, what is that? What is the essence of it? What is the core thing? Did it in psych too. Psychology means study of soul. We didn't study soul. We studied thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. Then I went into medicine because we call it healthcare. So I wanted to know what health is. Because if you know what health is, you can push people in the direction of health and watch them get better. But you have to know where to push them. And then I found out it was only about disease. And I asked the dean, I said, I came here to study health. What is health? He said, we don't know. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was probably the most disappointing professional answer I ever got in my life.
Yeah.
And then we were told in first year medicine that a doctor should always sound as though he knows what's going on even when he doesn't. We call that lying on the farm, and I quit medicine. I went back into biochemistry and genetics. So I had the background, and so I decided to figure out how to fix my pesticide poisoning and got into essential nutrients, nutrition. I hadn't studied that formally, although in biology you learn a lot about health. And got stuck on, so I was looking at essential nutrients, which are nutrients that you can't make in your body from anything else, but you have to have them to live and be healthy. So they have to be brought in from outside. If you don't get enough, your health goes down. If you don't get enough long enough, you die. And if you bring enough back before you die, when you're not getting enough, then all the problems that come from not getting enough are reversed. There's a definition of essential nutrients. 18 minerals, 13 vitamins, 9 essential amino acids from proteins, and 2 essential fatty acids from oils fit that definition. So I was saying, because I'm always looking for the core thing. Right? Well, when it comes to nutrition and health through nutrition, the essential nutrients are the core thing. And then I got stuck on oils because I read a study that said omega-6 is an essential nutrient by the definition I just gave. And the very next study I read said omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you. And I'm going, what? I have to have it so it can kill me, right? It's like God loves you, but if you look at him, he kills you. It was like I must be missing something. And that got me looking into how oils are made. And then I found how much damage is done to oils when they're treated with sodium hydroxide to degum them, then with phosphoric acid to refine them, then with bleaching clays to bleach them, and then with frying temperature for half an hour to get rid of the damage done by these first 3 processes, to blow off the damaged and the rancid molecules. And I thought, geez. And then I found out 0.5 to 1% of the molecules of the oil are damaged by that processing. And then I called the oil chemists aside and I said, when you know this does damage, because I got all this information out of their journal, American Oil Chemists Society, the umbrella organization for the oil industry. So I got it out of their literature. And I called them and I said, I want to talk to a researcher. Now this is in the days when people still talk to each other. That was like 1982 probably. And they put him on the line and I said, well, when you know this does damage to the oils, why do you do this? So he says to me, well, one of the reasons we deodorize the oil, that's what they call this process where they heat it to frying temperature for 30 minutes. He said one of the reasons we do that is we can get rid of half of the pesticides in the oil by doing that. And it had never occurred to me that we're pesticides in oils. Right. I never learned about when I studied oils in university at the graduate student level. They never talked about pesticides. They never talked about processing damage. They never talked about any of this stuff that I was reading in the journals. And so in my head, I'm going, there are pesticides in the oils. Oh my God. And I didn't say that to him. So I said to him, why don't you start with organically grown seeds? Then you don't have a pesticide problem to deal with. And I guess he had never heard that question. So there's this long silence at the other end of the phone. And, obviously I can talk. You've noticed already, I'm sure that. But I also know how to listen. And so I was really quiet.
Go ahead.
And waited. And then when he came back, he was really mad. He said, I don't know what your problem is. The oil's only 1% damaged and it's 99% good. And if you got 99% on an exam, you'd be damn happy, wouldn't you? So I used to get 100% in genetics because I loved the topic. So I wasn't as impressed with the 99 as he was. But then I thought, well, maybe I'm overreacting. So then I decided, they say when in doubt, do the math. Numbers don't lie. So I said, okay, if I have a tablespoon of an oil that has been 1% damaged by the processing, how many damaged molecules are we talking about? It's a good question.
Yeah.
Tell me the answer.
No idea.
No, and that's why I'm asking, because there's a way to do it that has to do with Avogadro's number, that has to do with the molecular weight of substances in grams and how many molecules are in that amount of a substance. But I always ask because the people who listen to you don't know either. So they would also be guessing.
Yeah.
So give me a number. Well, you'll see why this is going to be cool.
So is it going to be based on percentage, or what is it based on?
Well, it's 1% damaged. Okay,
1% damage.
So it's a tablespoon of oil that is 1% damaged, and a tablespoon of oil weighs about 14 grams. Now, 14 grams is about half an ounce. But that doesn't tell you because you don't know how the size of molecule. The issue is you don't know the size of the molecules. So then it's really hard to estimate. But nobody knows the size of the molecules. And you'll see why. If you give me the number, you'll see why this is a really, really useful exercise.
So it's, I'm sorry, the number of what? The number of molecules?
The number of damaged molecules. The number of damaged molecules in a tablespoon
of oil.
Oil that is 1% damaged by the process.
I don't know how many molecules there are in a tablespoon of oil. I don't even know where to begin.
I know. Yeah. We're all in the same boat until we find out.
Okay.
Best guess.
3,000, 3 million. I have no idea.
Okay,
I have no idea.
Which number do you want?
We'll go 3 million.
Okay, perfect. So 3 million has 6 zeros, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to know the actual number?
No, 3 million has 9 zeros. 3.
No, 3 million is 6 zeros. 1,000, a million, a billion. Billion has 9 zeros.
Well, 100,000. So 3 with 6 zeros. Okay, nope. You gotcha. Yep. Good.
Yeah.
3 million, 6 zeros.
6 zeros. So would you like to know how many there actually are?
Yeah.
A 6 followed by 19 zeros.
Oh, jeez.
So your guess.
Writing that out. 3, 6, 9. That's a lot of zeros.
Yeah. So 19 zeros. So your number is 13 zeros too short. And 13 zeros with a 6 in front of it is 60 trillion. So you underestimate the damage done to oils by 60 trillion times. Now, here's where this becomes important.
Okay.
If I ask other people, they give me similar numbers.
Okay.
So we are doing something to ourselves when we use those oils that is 60 trillion times more damaging than we think it is, or more dangerous, or more toxic than we think it is. So then I say, okay, look, you're at the airport, you're flying home for the holidays, you got your boarding pass, you're about to board, and get a tap on your shoulder. And when you turn around, there's a guy whose nose is not long like Pinocchio's, Mr. Truth Teller. He only ever tells the truth. And he said, by the way, did you know that your chance of crashing and dying on your trip home for the holidays is 60 trillion times higher than you thought it was? Would you get on the airplane? And I was in Ireland, and I said, no, I would canoe back to Canada.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And then what happens is it's not only, that's a tablespoon. Most people use 2 to 4 tablespoons. So you got to multiply that number. Then they got pesticides in the oil, so you got to add that in. Then oils swell plastic, and they're all in plastic bottles these days. So plastic leaches into oil quicker than into water. Got to add that in. Then you fry your food in the oil. So now you've got to multiply the number that you've got by another 5 or 6 times. And then you do that every day for 30 years. So now you've got to multiply that number by 11,000, which is about the number of days in 30 years. Then at the end of that, you get cancer. And then all of it, by the way, there's these oils, when you damage them, they increase inflammation and increase the risk of cancer.
Yeah.
But when you burn carbs, they do that too. And when you burn protein, they do that too. Increased inflammation, increased risk of cancer, each one individually. So then then it's like, well, I don't know why I got cancer. I ate good, except you didn't know you didn't know the math that we just went through.
Yeah.
And when I've figured that out when I went through that exercise. I said, oh my God, I can't get healthy on oils that are damaged like that. We should make oils with health in mind. And I was just desperate enough and crazy enough to say, and I'm going to do it. So the issue is oils are the most sensitive of our nutrients.
Yeah.
Light, oxygen, and heat damage them. If you want to make oils with health in mind, which the industry doesn't,
Right. Clearly.
you have to make a very tight system where no light, oxygen, and high temperature can damage the oil from the time it's in the seed in nature's packaging, which is pretty good, all through the pressing, the filtering, the settling, the filling process, till it's in a brown glass bottle, in a box to cut the light out, nitrogen flushed to cut the oxygen out, and in the fridge to keep the temperature low. No light, oxygen, heat is allowed to damage you. So you have to make a very, very tight system. And I did that. I created that system. And the first oil then I found out that 99% of the population doesn't get enough omega-3, which is one of the 2 essential fatty acids for optimum health. And the richest source easily available and affordable is flaxseed. And so I decided it would be the hardest oil to make because omega-3s are damaged 5 times quicker than omegas by light, oxygen, heat. And so I decided 1986 we started making flaxseed oil by the method I had developed. And my idea was, first of all, it's the biggest problem. And it was kind of like, oh my God, if we can make omega-3s with health in mind, we can help almost everybody. Oh my God. And you know what feels good in the heart when you help? It's like it feels bad in the heart when you hurt. It's like, oh my God. I said, oh my God, I just found a mission from God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we could help so many people. So we built the system and then we started making flaxseed oil and to bring the omega-3s back. And then we created a buzz because we were on fire. It was like so fun. I had no business background. I knew I had a really good background in science, but no business background. And we just made business decisions right and left about standards and how we were going to run the business. And we set the standards. I mean, we set standard. We wouldn't work with people who would not refrigerate our precious oils. It was just, and everybody wanted to work with us at that point because we had created a buzz.
Right.
So flaxseed oil in 2 years became the
How
second
did you
highest.
create a buzz? Like, how did you get the word out once you had a product? Like, because that's hard to, I mean, it's, I think, increasingly hard to do because it's noisy now. Was it hard though? I mean, it's always been hard to have
it's always hard. By the enthusiasm.
It's always hard. Yeah.
It was literally by the enthusiasm.
Who? Like, who got enthusiastic first? Was it the health food stores? Was it the consumers?
No, me.
Was it magazines?
Me.
Yeah. You. Yeah. I know you. I know you.
And then who else got it? People love enthusiasm.
Yeah, they do.
People are so attracted to it. Even if a guy is a real dip, you know, even if he's a mass murderer, if he's enthusiastic, he gets followed.
Well, and if you have strong command. I have a lot of command. So, like, when I speak, it's very direct, and people also have an easier time getting traction with that, as opposed to, like, having upward inflection.
I guess I had command. I never thought of that. That's like.
But who caught on? Like, who is catching on in the beginning?
Well, we were in the health food trade.
Yeah.
So we literally, in 1988, we did our first tour. No, in 1987, we did a tour from halfway across Canada. And that was just like, it was almost like a practice run. In 1988, we did a tour. It was a 101-day tour. We went to 35 states, 85 cities.
Were you in an RV? Like, what was the scene here?
We were in a van without air conditioning in the hottest months in the U.S.
And you're going to health food stores?
17,000 miles by road.
And where were you stopping?
We worked with we worked with a company that was selling oils. They were the same junk oils.
Yeah.
But they got into it. They set up our meetings basically in the health food trade, and we had anywhere from the highest turnout was 1,500 people. And the lowest turnout was 2. When we had 2 people, we went to a restaurant and talked over coffee. And we literally would listen to anybody who would listen to us. And it just created a buzz. So people, everybody wanted to work with us. All the distributors wanted to work with us because with the buzz. And what was the buzz? Oh my God, this is like a mission from God. I get to help so many people. Oh my God, I can't believe my good fortune that I actually get to do something like that.
So then so then what happened in production? Like then all of a sudden, I mean, because this is complicated. Like, I mean, I think other business owners, right? It's like, it's complicated to do this stuff that you're doing. And it takes so much drive and passion because Udo's was the first one that I heard of with good oils. That you guys helped educate me in my health and wellness journey way back.
Yeah.
Right. In the 90s.
Yeah. No, and it was not
to get distribution.
We worked our asses off.
Yeah.
Literally, for long days, short nights, slept in the van. My driver had built himself a bunk across the back. I slept on the floor between the steering wheel and the back. I slept on the floor. That's every few days we would get so hot and sticky that we would walk into a Marriott hotel like we owned it, and my driver had to teach me how to do that. You got to be very purposeful, and then you go through the thing. Nobody questions you. Then we would go up to the showers and, the gym or whatever they had, or pool. And we would shower, wash our clothes in the showers, wring them out, and get back into our van and keep driving. So we did that for 101 days.
My gosh.
But we were on fire. I don't remember ever feeling like I was working.
Yeah. Well, and
like,
everything's gaining traction. Like it's making sense. It's making sense to other people. You're feeding off of the other people that are like, oh my gosh, this is like, wow, I didn't know. Now I know. I want it.
And when you say commanding, I never thought of myself as commanding. I thought of myself as inspired with purpose.
Yeah.
But out of that, we made all kinds of decisions that a guy with no business practice has no business making. Yeah. Right? And so in that sense, I was commanding too. And then we insisted on it. We had people came to us.
How'd you do the funding though? Because that's not easy.
Shoestring. It was all shoestring. Complete shoestring. And it was.
What were the hardest parts of that? Because that would have meant, Did you guys set up your own manufacturing facilities or not?
Yeah, we did in Canada at the beginning. And then in California, a company created. We created, we bought a little machine, and we had a doctor who put in, I think, $70,000. That was the whole thing. And one guy, I was broke because I had just finished writing the book. The book sold about 4,000 copies a year at that time. And I moved in with my mother. So that took care of the rent and the food. And so literally I was broke, not working. And then we had a guy who was on unemployment. We call it unemployment enjoyment up here. And then one guy was on welfare, and one guy had a part-time business washing windows. And then we built it.
Wow.
And then
what was the next major milestone where you're like, this is working, I'm no longer on a shoestring, it's actually a functional company that's...
Well, you know what? I was with that company, was my brainchild. I wrote the book, I did the lectures, I developed the process. We then had engineers put it together. And after 2.5 years, they screwed me. We had an agreement on company ownership, shared company ownership. Then they basically said that was only an agreement to agree at a later time, and we never got to that agreement. So I got screwed out of my shares. And then I started working for the U.S. company. Yeah. They paid some of the expenses for the 1988 tour. And then the oil started to sell. And then it became easier, although I was only getting paid not percentage but wages. And then I got tired of that because it was never going to be a good situation for me, so I left and then started over, rewrote the book. Still living with my mother, and then started working with a company where I decided not to ask for anything up front. I want a percentage of sales.
Yeah.
And I taught him how to build the machinery so that the oils are good, because his oil was awful because his system wasn't tight.
Yeah.
So I told him what he needed to do. So I taught him how to make it. And then he then put me in front of people in the health food trade. And for 15 years, I lived out of a suitcase for 6 to 9 months of the year. Went to 40 countries. I just started, sometimes there were a handful of people and sometimes there were a few hundred people. My biggest turn.
You had 3 kids somewhere in there.
No, that broke up and that was.
That was before.
No, that's what's got me started spraying and getting poisoned when that broke up.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that was a whole other.
You've had many lives.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through a couple of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got in, I think 2005, I got put in the Canadian Health Food Association Hall of Fame for starting the industry of making oils with health in mind.
Wow.
And now there's a lot of people who are talking about you shouldn't use seed oils and you shouldn't use omega-6s. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yep.
Not one of the people who says that has ever talked.
Really?
In fact, some of them have made up stories about me, and that started in 1989. We started with flax oil in 1986, and there was a crackpot in Oregon who never talked to me, just assumed that I was working for Archer Daniel Midland. And he said that there are no essential fatty acids. If you get enough B vitamins, you don't need essential fatty acids. And there were about 6,000 studies that said that was BS at the time he said that. And then he put out some information out about me that was completely cooked up in his own head. And there are still people who follow him and are still saying that kind of stuff. Not one of them has ever talked to me. And it's not like I haven't been around. I've done talks and media. Yeah, I'm in the neighborhood between 10 and 15,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really a lot. And
really?
The book I wrote, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, I think sold about 300,000 copies.
Amazing.
And, in a way, that topic was the talk of the town for quite a few years.
So once the word got out, I mean, now you're sort of like the grandfather of like healthy oils, I would say.
Yeah. Grandfather, anyways, right? Because now I'm 83.
So now you're 83. So that's okay to say that.
Yeah.
And when you look back at that path, especially for maybe younger people that are, there's so much, I don't want to say necessarily like despondency, but like a lot of people have given up hope that they can actually make a difference in something, that like their life matters, that their divine insight matters.
Now we're talking about thriving, right?
Yeah, now we're talking about thriving, because you changed an industry from a place of having a very broken nervous system from the pesticide industry. Like I've worked with people that have been damaged by pesticides, and it's never looked like a good time to me. It's never looked like an easy one to me. So like you came out of a very physiologically broken down place, an emotionally challenging place, and you are someone who overcomes hard things, obviously, as exemplified by your childhood, right? And you started to do your own research, and you found things that were not unsatisfactory, and so you decided to do something, and then you jumped in, I would say not just with both feet, but like with both feet running all over the country. And we're able to actually like impact an industry, change the way that people who are buying food, like putting what they put into their shopping cart, right? Because Udo's oils, it was different. It was not just like this oil is a health food. It wasn't like, I need some oil.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And now the industry's caught up a bit, and maybe we could get into the nuts and bolts of where it's still way behind. But let's first speak to that, being able to make change in one's life, like being able to look back on one's life and say, damn, that was a lot of work. It was the time of my life. I made massive sacrifice and lived with my mother, but one person can make a change.
That wasn't a sacrifice either. She had a stroke while I was living with her, so I was able to assist her in small ways. So that turned out to be a cool thing too, right?
Yeah. Like Ram Dass,
and,
right?
But you can take everything that happens in your life and turn it into a tragedy in your interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can turn it into an adventure.
Yeah.
Or a blessing
in
your own interpretation.
Yeah.
And I like the image of, like I say, we live between a carrot and a stick.
Yeah.
The image comes from when you want a horse to carry a load. You know, you hitch the horse onto the wagon, right?
Yeah.
And then you sit on the wagon with the whip and you whip its ass, right? Or you flick the whip so that it snaps in the air, right? And that's associated with burning rump for the horse. And so the horse will pull the wagon chased by a whip. But then there was somebody who said, you know, we can do it easy. We can get the horse to do it willingly if we put a stick from, you know, we hitch a stick on the wagon, whatever you call it, right? And you have it in front of the horse, and you hang a carrot from it.
Yep.
And horses love carrots, right?
Yep.
And so it will pull the weight without you having to do anything in the back because it wants to get to the carrot. Of course, the carrot, every time the horse takes a step, the carrot takes a step too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get the step. But the point is that, you know, what is it? Without a vision, the people perish. What is your vision?
Yeah. Yep, totally.
You know? Or, you know, because when you drift, you always go downhill. Drifting will go downhill.
Yeah.
If you're enthusiastic about something, if something really inspires you, it really turns you on, say, oh my God, this is so amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing is work anymore.
Yeah.
And I would say that
I call it quirk.
You call it what?
Quirk.
Quirk. Because?
My work. Because it's like, it's not work.
Quirk.
It's not work.
Yeah,
but
it's not
like work. It's like quirky.
Yeah.
It's like got a spring to it. It's got a pulse, a drive. It's going somewhere. It's evolving. And it's so individuated. And I really find that's like the difference, like that whole industrialization of labor, where everyone's doing the same thing. That's what was so depressing to everybody, right? And it's like quirk. It's like what makes you zing. Because what makes you zing and what makes me zing might be similar, but like we're each gonna have our own little path with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this.
So you know, sometimes I think that people in North America have had it way too easy. You know, for me, when we lost everything. We lost the country. My parents were from Latvia. We lost the country. We lost the farm. We lost the house. We lost the animals. We lost the culture. We lost the friendship, the community. We literally got out of there with nothing except the clothes we were wearing, the body we were in, and the life in that body. Everything else got dumped. And so I started from a place where it couldn't get much worse. Yeah. And so my thought was very easy. There must be a way that people can live in harmony. There must be a better way to live than this. Yeah. And I'm going to find out. So I've always been focused. How can I make it better? Whatever it is, how can I make it better? Yeah. And on the other hand, when I've talked to, you know, when I was going to school and university, you know, people were so entitled, you know, and they thought the world owed them, and it's worse now than it was in the 60s. Yeah. You know, and you should do, and I'm entitled, and you know, there's something, and then when you really get down to it, they're not happy people. Right. They expect so much, and everybody else should do it for them. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I go to where I go with that. I say, okay, tell me about your heartache. That's where I start. Tell me about heartache. You ever experience heartache? Everybody experiences heartache. Just whenever an expectation gets blown, heartache. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So then I say, okay, well, what is heartache? And this therapist, they say, well, trauma causes heartache. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. Trauma triggers heartache. Yeah. This is where your master's in counseling psychology comes in. Well, this is... I mean, isn't it like aligned to like having an expectation where there's this idea of like an expectation that there's false security? Because we want... Yeah. Some part of us craves this security of this vision of the future, and when it involves other people, right, whether it's organizational heartache or relational heartache, right, where you're just like, this is my fixed vision of the future, and now it's gone, and there's a piece of me that feels on, like I don't know what security is anymore. Yeah. So and some very wise person once said, don't depend on things that end. Well, yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So what is it? It's always a loss. It's always a loss. Grandma dies, the dog runs away, the
Yeah.
girlfriend dumps me unceremoniously, I lose my health,
Yeah.
and then somehow we feel heartache. We feel it in our chest, uneasy, uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
But the thing the therapists are wrong about is heartache is not caused by trauma. Heartache is triggered by trauma,
Yeah.
but not caused by it. So what causes heartache? So when you were in your mother's body, there was no place to go. There was pretty much nothing to do. Everything was taken care of. You had no language. You didn't need to take bathroom breaks. You didn't know there was a mother around you, and you didn't know there was a world around the mother. And you didn't know at some point you'd have to get to know all that stuff. So where was your focus when you were in your mother's womb? Well, it was at rest, inside, in its source, in life, and maybe beyond that, in awareness. And you were whole. You didn't even know there was such a thing as unwholeness or feeling unwhole, right? And then you got booted out. Paradise lost, right? You got booted out. And now you had to get to know the world, and your focus went from being present inside and absent outside. It gradually moved more and more outside, and you became absent inside, disconnected from inside where your wholeness lives. And that's where heartache began. It's a natural, normal, necessary part of the human journey.
Yeah.
But in the culture, nobody tells you that heartache comes from your disconnection from yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting because my background more in the Vedic science says it. It's like right in there, and it's so obvious. They call it concealment and revelation, and it's that concealment. It's that separate. It's that I'm not, and then there's the revelation, and it's this dance between. But it's much more explicit. Like, this is what to expect.
And I have 10 pages of different names we have for heartache. That uneasy feeling, desolation, heartache, yearning, striving, needing, desiring. And we don't like heartache because it's uncomfortable. So what do? We either distract ourselves from it, and we live most of our life in distraction because the heartache is always there. When something that we hope will get us taken care of ends, we go back there, right? So, or we deny it, ignore it, try to explain it away, pull an ideology down over our head, either a political or religious one.
Yeah.
Usually, but it could be anything, right? Or we blame it on somebody.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we deal with heartache.
Yeah.
And what I say to people is, look, you don't have to look for heartache, but when it comes, when you feel it, sit with it. Just sit with it. And it might feel intense, and you might have some tears.
Yeah.
But just quietly sit with it. Don't judge it. Just feel it.
Yeah.
And accept it. And acknowledge it. And maybe embrace it. And maybe even become a little bit happy and grateful for the fact that it pulled you out of your crazy head and pulled you into your body.
Yeah.
And if you sit with heartache that far behind it, less than a hair's breadth behind it, is the wholeness, the reconnection that makes you whole. And when you find that reconnection, then you begin to be able to live by inspiration rather than always just avoiding pain.
So let's talk a little bit about the somatic journey in there. Is it like in the feeling it is the processing. Like in the feeling of it, there's the alchemizing of the change of the heartache into potentially into...
In the process, yeah. Well, it's in the movement of focus from outside or in your head back into the space your body occupies.
Yeah, yeah.
Because and then people say, well, what is the meaning of life? Well, the meaning of life is in the direct experience of it. It's not like if you do that and then you do that and try to get excited about something and what's your, no. It's because here we are, like here you are and here I am. We are the children of an infinite universe.
Yeah.
That somehow came together, that for some reason makes human beings. And and so here we are given that form made out of dust, water, and air, operated by sunlight,
Yeah.
mastered by energy.
Yeah.
So the master lives within you. All of what the masters talked about lives within you as life. Life is the master of the in, of, for, and through the body. Runs everything, weighs nothing. Omnipresent, omniscient in your body. Unconditional, empowering flow of love in your body. When you experience that, you're fulfilled
Yeah.
because you're full of it.
Yeah.
And what you're full of is unbelievably beautiful and satisfying. Then if you could do nothing, you were sitting in a wheelchair because whatever, your legs were broken or somebody cut them off or whatever, you could sit in a wheelchair doing nothing other than enjoying the bliss of being in the experience of the life within you, or the peace within you, which the awareness within you. And then from that place, anything becomes possible. That's why I could have turned over and got cancer and got killed by my pesticides. The reason I didn't, I was already doing a practice that takes me to that place. Because my heart ached when I was 17, my heart ached and I couldn't shake it. I couldn't find any distractions because I had already tried a bunch of things and I didn't know what it was. And so I went in search of the cure of my heartache. There was nothing wrong with me physically. I was in good strapping farm lad, right?
Yeah.
And then I went through trying to figure it out, and I went through some psychedelic experiences that kind of melted the door off my war baby personality. And then I got into then I stopped doing that, and then I got into the red letter edition. And because the thought to me was, well, if I wanted to model myself after someone in my culture, who would that be? And it was like, well, it would either be Socrates or it would be Jesus. And between the two of them, I would take Jesus so I got the red letter edition. Everything he says is in red ink and everything else in that Bible is in black ink.
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to know what he felt
Yeah.
that made him live a life of poetry,
Yeah.
right?
Have you
And-
read it? There's a really good Byron Katie's husband, Stephen. What's Stephen's last name? He wrote the Gospel According to Jesus. It was kind of that, just on those teachings. He's translated a lot of ancient texts, like not just in Taoism, in
Okay.
Mesopotamian mythology, and I'm just trying to find his last name is. I'm sorry, I don't have it on the top of my head. But yeah, no, I hear you on that. Like where you're just like diving straight. You're just navigating into the current of truth, right? Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Where,
Well, yeah, and
right,
so,
and
so
let me just say this too. Is like what I'm hearing and what you're saying for like the younger people who are because I experienced what you experienced, which is kind of like but from a much more privileged, entitled place, which was the same conclusion of I really have nothing to lose. Like if I want to go my own way, and I really have nothing to lose. And I've come to that a few times in my life where it's this other people are attached to what I would consider a false sense of security that in my definition creates heartbreak, right? Like where you're attached to a vision of the future, it doesn't happen, right? Because there was some idea that it should. Right? So there's this injustice and victimization.
Well, yeah, it was like there's always either an expectation or a hope.
Expectation or hope, right? And there's like this, and it's not like everything is bad false sense of security to me. It's just that it's just a safer. It's that teaching in Buddhism that everything is change. Like change is the constant.
Yeah, it's because the only way you can get security is if you connect yourself to what doesn't change.
Yeah.
And what would that be? Well, peace within you never changes. Unconditional love within you never changes.
Yeah.
Inspiration never changes because that's just the shine of love into the world. But your body, your mind, your emotions, your social scene, and your environment all change.
All change.
So that cannot be your foundation. None of those things can be your foundation if you want a solid foundation. And
then so from there, we're so much more able to take risk. Like there's this, part of the translation, the etymology of entrepreneur is like someone who's willing to take risk. right? And there's a when people are not able to take risk due to this false security, I think what we're both in agreement on is that that will lead to less fulfillment, because while you may have more of these socially acceptable securities taken care of in the
But they're
short
not secure.
term, but they're
not
not
secure.
they're not
Somebody tells you that you should go screw yourself on social media and you jump off a building. You know,
right.
how secure are those social media? The security needs to be within you, in that part of your nature that is secure by nature.
That is secure by nature.
Right?
Yeah.
And so basically, I got to the point where I was putting things to the test just to trying to figure it out. Then I gone in with a Christian group that treated me really, really, really badly. They screamed at me, "You're from the devil. You're from the Antichrist.
What?
Get out!" Oh man, it was like
What?
it was intense. It was intense. I was 27, and then I have to thank
Thing
them
about
because
you being in your 80s is like there's just so many decades to pull from.
Yes, this was 1970, and I went to clear my head in nature, and I went to a beach on the west coast. It was completely deserted. There was nobody on the beach except me, the logs, the sand, the water, and the air. And I fell asleep, and I woke bolt upright, and there was a being made of light standing there. No label, no words, but it embodied a message, and I could put words to the message. And the message was, "I am come not to judge, but to love." So I could, and then all my confusion evaporated. I have never had a question about what was the message of the masters. And I realized also that the only people in history that taught human nature, which you would think should be the most important thing, because we're human beings,
Yeah.
to know what this is and to be present in it, were the masters.
Yeah.
And then, so it was, "I am come not to judge, but to love." That's the message of the masters to humanity. And they said it in different ways. I think Buddha said, your suffering comes from attachment, and you should be detached. And then a friend of mine said, well, actually, it comes from being attached to the wrong things. Because you can get attached to what is stable and not suffer, right?
It's stable, but it's really etheric, right? It's like that there's
etheric only if you think that physical is real, right? Anyway, and then I realized, oh my God, that's the message of the masters to humanity. I am come not to judge, but to love. But that's also the message of life to the body. Unconditionally, life is a flow of unconditional, empowering love in, of, for, and through the body. And there's the master in the body. And the master that the masters talked about is called life by street people. They were talking about life. The energy keeps you alive, which is a solar energy fraction filtered through 93 million miles of space, and then the atmosphere, and then green plants, and then stored in bonds. Then we eat those molecules, and then those bonds get broken, and that's released. Now we call it life. But it's a solar energy fraction. And it's the master that the masters talk. All the same. It's all part of nature. This is not all hidden in plain sight, because it's inside of everybody. All the people who are paying attention to it, and all the people who are not paying attention to it. But it runs the show, right? Weighs nothing, runs everything. It's the master in the body. It's the owner of your body. It's the benevolent dictator in your body. And when you get to know that, when you bring your awareness into the energy that runs this show, you feel so cared for that it's not about you anymore. Now it's like, okay, well, you know what? I am taken care of. If I don't feel cared for, then I know where to go to feel cared for, because that thing is always there when I go there. Always take, right? So then I feel cared for. Say, well, now what am I going to do with my life? Okay, well, let me just help where I can. Help where I can, do what needs to be done. Maybe figure out how can I make the biggest splash for good in the time I have. And all of a sudden you're free for vision, because you actually have done the homework to feel cared for by what cares for you. And then it's like,
I kind of keep landing on this, like, attention is love.
Attention is...
Yeah, and love is attention. Like, it's like that, what we're attending to. That, yeah. that there's not much separation between attention and love. So if
Uh,
like you're attending to, so like my daughter we're down in Mexico. We live in a condo complex, and my daughter was saying that there's a neighbor that we have that we live in condos, so like everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
There's this neighbor that like she just drinks too much, like she puts too much attention into alcohol, and today they were at a CrossFit class, and she was saying the problem. This woman who drinks too much was saying, like, the problem is there's, like, always the next party. And then she was saying, like, the next 3 nights, there's this party and this party and this party. And my daughter was laughing because, like, she's kind of known as, like, the person that drinks too much. But, like, that's what she's putting her attention into, right?
Yeah. And I think the good, how does that go? When you dwell on the objects of the senses, you develop attachment for them. Yeah. And that's kind of like you start to love them, right? And from attachment comes anger, because you don't always get what you want.
You don't always get what you want.
From anger comes judgment, and from judgment comes loss of reason, and loss of reason leads to destruction. That's what happens when you love something other than love, right?
Yep.
When you depend on things that end.
So say we say that
things that change.
Putting awareness on, like putting attention on, so attention, awareness, I'm going to use those synonymously, on love, on the field of love that is within you, then if we just kind of tie this in a bow, then that can build a field of security.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you are even better than security. You are love in your individual essence. And if you go one step deeper, you are peace in your universal essence. Yeah. So then you have peace as a foundation.
But I just want to get there. But then you can also take more risk. Like you can take more risk in relationship. You can take more risk in your dharma or your purpose or your business or what you're here to do. You're able to be secure within. So in Ayurvedic medicine, which is my background, there's a word called svastha, and it means seated in the self.
Yeah.
Right.
Seated.
Like you've taken a seat.
Yeah.
Within yourself, and the idea is that it's not like you're physically sitting. It's like your presence is seated within, and then from there you can navigate and act.
Yeah, and then you can play.
And you can play.
When you play, you don't expect things not to change.
Yeah.
Then you can play because you know that something in you will always take care of you unconditionally, right? And so then you can play, and then you don't worry about the outcomes, and then you do what you need to do, and then that makes complete sense. And this is part of like going back to my red letter edition. What does he say? Kingdom of heaven is within you. Yeah. What is in the kingdom of heaven? All the good stuff, right? So God is there, and the Master is there, and the Holy Spirit is there, and peace is there, and love is there, wisdom is there, insight is there, joy is there, intuition is there. So all the good stuff is in there. So kingdom of heaven is within you. And then he says, seek first the kingdom within you, and everything else will fall into place. He didn't say it in exactly those words, but that's basically. And then you ask yourself, okay, how many people have read that? And how many people claim to follow the guy who said that? And how many people are actually doing what he said to them to put first? How many people are actually bringing their focus into the space inside where the kingdom is?
It's not, right? Like we're in a... Yeah, I mean, I love spiral dynamics for that. Like just like the different levels of consciousness, and like what level of consciousness does it take to even have interest to bring awareness inward, right? To
heartache.
Even get away from
only heartache. You only need heartache, and you need heartache explained as the call for you to come home to yourself.
Yeah, or the
and
desire
no culture.
to do
and
something.
No culture teaches that. No culture teaches that heartache is your call, is your life calling you to come back home to life. What an oversight.
Well, I think it is taught in very small esoteric circles. Like that's what I have found, is that in these small esoteric circles, it's like that's the eye of the needle, but it's not for the masses. It's not for the many, at least at this point. Maybe it is in the future. I hope so.
I think a lot of poets and writers
Yeah.
write about it,
Yeah.
but they don't understand it either. So then, in the romance novels, the guy's heart aches and he finds the woman and then the
Yeah.
heartache goes away. No,
Yeah.
woman will not take your heartache away. Self-presence will take
A
your
lot of
heartache
country
away,
songs about
and then
that.
you'll be a whole better man for the woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So the literary people know about it, but they don't understand what it is like from a truth, science, actual reality reason. They don't. So like, for instance, what's his name? My heart aches and a drowsy numbness dulls my senses. Keats. It's one of his poems. That's how it starts. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness dulls my senses. And then, as though of opiate I had drunk, and blah, 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 and lethe words, which means lethe words had sunk, which means heading in the direction of death. He was kind of a morose guy. He suffered from depression a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and then he goes, but then he comes out and I mean, beautiful poetry. He wrote beautiful poetry. But, I drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine, or leave a kiss within the cup, and I'll not ask for wine. The thirst that from the soul doth rise, doth ask a drink divine, but could I of Jove's nectar sip, I would not ask for thine. It's a song we sang in high school. And so you find in literature and poetry and songs, even you too. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So you know that they're wrestling with those issues. And everybody does in one way or another.
Yeah.
Wrestle with the heartache issue of existence. What is, how should I live? What should I do? And then you try to figure it out, but then you make up stuff because you don't know that it has a biological origin. And it has a biological solution. And maybe even not biological, but experiential, purely experiential solution. You cannot fix it in words.
Yeah. N equals 1.
N equals 1.
N equals 1.
What is that? Yeah, N
Well,
equals...
be your own experiment. Don't,
I have a formula. I have a formula that covers everything.
Go for it.
Two parallel lines, horizontal parallel lines. No, the other way. Yeah, is. That's it. The solution to everything. Reality, existence.
Do you want to expound? Why is it two parallel lines? Are they infinite, first of all?
No, it is. The equal sign.
Equal is, yeah.
That's it.
This is one beautiful thing I learned from a Sufi business guy, which is the equal sign is like the exchange, right? In of energy, where there's this equal and opposite thing happening. So in business, it's this I'll lay down the bridge for you to cross.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or I'll give you this if you give me that.
Right.
Right? That's what the...
But with the oils, right? It's you want health over here. I'll lay down the bridge, and then you give me the value exchange to come across. And
well, that's the idea. It costs this much to make, and I never dealt with any of that because I have a partner. So he does the manufacturing, distributing. I'm just the brain. I'm just the brains behind it.
Yeah.
And the education, because I'm more into education. I'm not into politics. I'm into education because more benefits come to human beings through education than through politics. Politics entrenches position. Education opens worlds. So I'm big. Always been big on education.
So do you want to just close? I feel like there are people listening are going to want some penultimate statement on why you have your 369 oil. Why are omega-6 fatty acids not horrible? I mean, you already did talk a little bit about this, but we just kind of end on why the product set that you sell is, because I think at this point everyone's got your high level integrity around what you have manufactured. And why. Mm-hmm. And so just tell us a little bit about the products that you're choosing to...
Well, so of all of the nutrients that are essential, of which are 42, 18 minerals, 13 vitamins, 9 essential amino acids from proteins, 2 essential fatty acids from oils. Oils are the most sensitive of all of our essential nutrients, damaged by light, oxygen, and heat. They need the most care we actually give them the least care. We throw them in a frying pan and damage them, the most damageable nutrients, with light, oxygen, and heat all at the same time in the frying pan. And omega-3 is 5 times more sensitive to this damage than omega-6. So it needs even more care. Now, the industry has never given the oils that care.
Right.
And I decided that if I wanted to get healthy, I needed to give them that kind of care. And so I developed a method that is really, really tight. Can you hang on just a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my doorbell. I have a visitor. So I decided if we give them the care they need, then they will give us the care we need. If we damage them, they will damage us. Fried, and so I have a little slogan: fried oils, fry health. Fried foods, fry health. Frying is the dumbest thing we've ever invented to do to food. Seriously.
No joke.
Because if you look at nature, how it was in nature before we got civilized, every creature that eats its food fresh, whole, raw, organic, local, mostly seasonal, and for human beings, mostly plant-based, because when we only had rocks to hunt with, we came home empty-handed most of the time because the animals ran away or fought back. And then what did we eat? Well, we ate plants because plants don't run away and they don't fight back and they're really easy to hunt down and kill, right? So we survived by that's how we survived. And then, then the more we became civilized, the more we started messing with that system. And it gave us more security because we had more food, because you could store the grains and, do all that kind of store the seeds and nuts. But you lose something in the storage, and then we wanted things that have a really long shelf life, so we had to take out all of the molecules that are not stable, like the oils and fats. That's how 99% of the population got to the place where they're not getting enough omega-3s for optimum health, right? And then we took the antioxidants out of the sugar cane, and so now sugar gives you inflammation because it makes energy, and then that energy throws sparks. Antioxidants are spark control. Well, we took those out, so you get the sparks, and they do damage in your body, right? And when we made white flour, we did the same thing to grains. And when we made white oils, we took in the industrial processing, they take out all the antioxidants, and then they put them in plastic that leaches, and the plastic is transparent, so light gets in and breaks down oils and creates free radicals. And if the molecules didn't exist in nature, then there's a good chance that life never made a program to break them down. Some of them does, but so when you damage oils, you get fragmented molecules, you get double bond shifted molecules, you get twisted molecules, you get cyclized molecules, you get cross-linked molecules within triglycerides and cross-linked molecules between triglycerides. You get dimerized molecules, trimerized molecules, polymerized molecules, and nobody measures how much of each is in the oil.
Yeah.
But anything under 1% is considered okay. But I just gave you 10 categories.
Yeah.
So the oil is 0.5 to 1% damaged, but that's only what they measure. It might be 2% damaged. It might be 5% damaged. And then you eat 2 to 4 tablespoons of that a day. By the way, you remember the 60 quintillion damaged molecule in a tablespoon, 1% damaged oil?
Yes.
That's more than 1 million damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells. And then wherever they go, they take up space, but they don't do the job that the molecule that belongs in that space, that is natural, would do.
Right.
And then that's how you get energy failures and derailments and biochemical interferences and blockages. And disease, physical illness, begins at the level of interactions between molecules. So you got to put all the right molecules in there to get all the right interactions.
Yeah.
That's called health.
Yeah. With enough fasting in between.
Yeah, and so then, I eat from noon to 8, and that's it. And I find that really helpful, and my energy is good. I don't get tired because I didn't eat.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of seeds and nuts. I don't eat a lot of carbs. I don't have bread or pasta or that in my house. I eat some fruit though. And I eat mostly fresh, whole, raw, organic because it works the best for me.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I really appreciate your sharing your story and your wisdom and your...
Yeah. And just one more thing, I am, oils. I also work with digestive enzymes and probiotics because when you cook foods, you kill those.
Yeah.
So they need to be replaced because you're supposed to be getting those with every mouthful. And now what I'm doing is I want to turn human nature into a teachable field and total health based in nature and human nature into a teachable field. That's what I'm working on now.
So what does that look like? What does it look? Give me the vision of it.
It's huge. But think about this. Think about it this way.
Good thing you're young.
We've been here for, they say, 200,000 years.
Yep.
Maybe 300,000 years. And then people say, well, maybe there was some civilization even before that.
Yeah.
But we lost it. We don't really know. Okay, but let's say we've been here for 200,000 years.
Okay.
We have never created a teachable field of human nature. You would think that would be the first thing we would want to know, given that's who we are. And who were the teachers of human nature? You people who come closest to it were the great masters. Buddha, Krishna, Christ, Socrates. What Socrates say? Jesus said, kingdom of heaven's within you, seek first the kingdom. Socrates said, know thyself. He didn't say know everyone, but yourself. That's what we do. He said, know thyself. Why? Because the unexamined life is not worth living.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so turning health into a teachable field, or turning human nature into a teachable field. The reason we have wars is because we don't know that peace is the core of our being. And we never go there. And so we don't feel peace. And then we always live in reaction to all this stuff that's going on outside of us.
Yeah. Yep.
Why aren't we bringing peace to, why aren't we practicing peace and bringing it to expression in the way we live into the world? Oh, that's cool. Okay, how about love, Looking for love in all the wrong places, right? We are so unconditionally and empoweringly loved by life that anytime somebody says to me, oh, I'm lonely, oh, I need a connection, when I feel loved and a woman walks out on me or decides she doesn't love me anymore, life still loves me unconditionally, right? So then it's kind of, again, then we can be more playful, can be lighter about things. We don't take the changes so seriously.
Yeah.
We don't go and have wars because somebody said the wrong thing to us. So what does it look like? Awareness is the core. That's where the peace lives. Unconditional love is life, and it's empowering. It's also your power source, and it's omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient in your body. It shines into the world as, I call it, inspired purpose, but you could also call it positive mind or the impulse to help and care and support and encourage. Then you have the physical body, which is about food, water, air, and activity. And that gets pretty complicated because you get into molecules and all of that. And then outside of that is protective mind, which is the skill sets and the courage you need to basically protect yourself and others from things that wouldn't mind eating you. Right? And then outside of that, you have social group. And there, they affect your health. Right? So you want to pick people who are supportive and encouraging rather than people who can always find fault with you.
Yeah.
But that's why they say love your family but choose your friends.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
And then outside of that you have the natural environment. And then outside of that you have the big picture. I call it infinite awareness. But basically the big picture is here I am in a terminal condition called the human body in an infinite universe. How can I best play given that fact? So I gave you health. I just gave you total health, not human nature. Human nature ends at protect. Oh, there's one other, habitual mind, which is all the garbage in our heads, all the mental baggage, a lot of cultural stuff and a lot of outdated ideas and superstitions and assumptions and assertions and unfounded statements of fact.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of that. And the goal of that is bring it to mind, look at it if it makes sense, and if it doesn't, discard it.
Let it
Just
go.
kind of clean out your baggage.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to do that because nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, even like you talk about MAGA. Oh no, MAHA. Make America Healthy Again. So they're fighting the pesticides and the side effects of vaccines and the industrial chemicals and the pollution and all of that stuff. And so they're fighting all the guys who are doing it wrong. But what is their vision for building what it looks like when it's actually right?
Yeah.
And that's where I come in. That's what that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be a complainer. I used to be a huge complainer. And I was really good at it. I'm pretty smart, you know. I mean, you could show me anything in the world and in 15 minutes I could tell you what the limits were and everything that was wrong with it. I was so good. I was so good at it, and I was very vocal about it. And one day my sister took me aside and she said, you know, she says, we agree with all this stuff you complain about. But the problem with you is you only complain about it. You don't do anything to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that on that line that helped me was someone who's a teacher was like, only complain about something you're willing to put energy into changing.
Yeah. When I did psychology, they said when somebody complains, you know two things about them. Well, what are those two things? Well, number one, they know it could be better, right? They know it could be better.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't complain if
right.
Right? Yeah. So they know it could be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they want somebody else to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, what a pleasure. I'm going to point people to your websites with where you do what this whole all the oils, all the microbiome products. So there's two sites. So where the actual products are florahealth.com, FLORA health.com.
Yeah.
And then more on Udo.
Yeah, UdoErasmus.com is my website.
And then there's a lot on like the books, the articles about you and about this vision, this beautiful vision you've painted for the future.
And I'm on Facebook, and I got a YouTube channel, and I'm on Instagram.
You're everywhere. You're keeping
I've been
up.
around. Yeah, if you put Udo, if you put UDO in Google, I show up on the first page because
you will show up a number. You're the only Udo we know.
Well, there are a few around, but not many.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your life's work. Thanks for making a difference.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and this is totally fun. You obviously